shifting functions vertically and horizontally. Graph the following equations by typing the equations into Desmos. So I'll do the first one. The 3 is inside the parentheses, and we need to do opposite sign horizontal. So I'm going to move 3 in the positive direction. The 1 at the end moves it up. It's the same sign, and it's vertically when it's at the end. So 3 in the positive direction, 1 up, and I know it's a parabola. Up, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1. There's my parabola. The next one is for you to do. Type it into Desmos and sketch a graph of the parabola that has been shifted. What is the equation of each graph? So I've shifted it 2 in the negative direction horizontally. So since it was a horizontal shift, I do the opposite sign. If I'm shifting in the negative direction, I add 2, and then I shifted up 1. Back 2, up 1, and then I make the graph. Next, 3 in the positive direction horizontally, so I switch the sign because I know the sign needs to be opposite. And then up 2. So really we're using the vertex, the location of the vertex, to tell us how the equation looks. Next, what is the equation of these graphs? So the vertex has been shifted 1 horizontally in the positive direction and 2 down. So 1, positive 1 in the horizontal direction, I do the opposite and I subtract 1. 2 down, I put it at the end and I subtract 2. The next one, please do the next one on your own. The reciprocal function. So y equals 1 over x. I have asymptotes at 0, 0. So I know that if x is 1, 1 divided by 1 equals 1. So we have 1, 1, and we have negative 1, negative 1, and from there, this is the reciprocal function. It looks like an intersection, and they never touch the x-axis or the y-axis. Those are asymptotes. Next, what happens if I take this function and add a 1 to the end? If I do it at the end, it's going to move it up. So I move it up. I do my asymptotes. Now, if x is 1, 1 over 1 plus 1 is 2. X is 1, y is 2. That's the corner. There's the right-hand side of the intersection and the left-hand side of the equation. So adding 1 to the end moves the function up. Next, what happens if I put plus 2 inside the parentheses with the x? That means it's going to move it 2 in the negative direction horizontally. There's my asymptotes, and now sketch the hyperbola. Okay, what is the equation of this graph? We know that it's a hyperbola. Let's figure out where the asymptotes are. The asymptotes have been shifted up to 0, 2. So I shifted up, but there is no horizontal shift. So I'm going to have 1. So I'm going to have 1 over x with a horizontal shift of 2. So I add 2 to the end. This one has a horizontal shift, but no vertical shift. You could see this asymptote is still the x-axis. So a horizontal shift of -3. So the equation is 1 over x plus 3. Whenever there's a horizontal shift, you put the number with the x, and it is the opposite sign. Next, let's find the equation by sketching the asymptotes. This point right here is really important. We see that this point is 3, 1, which tells us a horizontal shift of 3 and a positive shift of 1. Y equals, so the horizontal shift goes in the parentheses with the x in the negative direction and plus 1 at the end. If h of x is shifted 4 units to the right and 5 units down, what would the new equation be? So the shift of 4 units to the right, so 4 units in the positive direction, I need to put a -4 into my equation, and I need to put it in with the x inside, and the exponent's going to be involved too. So I actually needed to add parentheses to put it in here. So since it's 4 units in the positive direction, I subtract 4. And if I want to go 5 units down, I subtract 5 from the end. So h of x is 2 times x minus 4 minus 18. G of x is shifted 1 unit to the left. So since this is in the negative direction, I'm going to add 1 inside the parentheses and 7 units up. So 1 unit to the left, x plus 1 inside the parentheses with the x. This is the opposite sign. I'm going in the negative direction, so I add 1. And then 7 units up, add 7 to the end. So here's my function. The graph is shifted. Is that a vertical shift or a horizontal shift? That's a horizontal shift of 3 units inside the parentheses is a horizontal shift, and it's the opposite sign. So since this is positive, I'm going to go in the negative direction and 7 units down. The horizontal shift is the opposite sign. The vertical shift is the same sign and at the end. Next, we're going to go 4 units. If this is a negative, that means it's going to do the opposite. It's going to move 4 units to the right in the positive direction and 2 units up.